Welcome to episode 7 of the GLP-1 Hub podcast. We are tackling a hot topic today that I see all over our community, and it is about the status of compound GLP-1s. There has been so much action around this topic, maybe even since this podcast got recorded. So keep that in mind. This is like an ongoing, changing situation, but we have a guest who is going to talk about her perspective on it and how nobody needs to freak out about it because it's still going to be available. So if you want to connect with our community, make sure that you are in the Facebook group. If you go and search on Facebook, GLP-1 Hub Support and Community, you'll find us there on Facebook. We also have a couple of nutrition guides to help you created by our dietitian team. So if you are looking for meal plans and checklists and different nutrition tips to manage side effects to help optimize your weight loss, how to plan your meals, we have 2 different guides, one for people on semaglutide and one for people on tirzepatide. So you're going to want to get those. You can find them on our website at glp-1hub.com. And I'll also drop those links in the show notes. And I can't wait to get to this interview with Tanna Donalson. So let's do it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the GLP-1 Hub podcast. I am really excited today to welcome Tanna Donalson, and she is going to be talking about compound GLP-1, which is a hot topic in our community. So Tanna, go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do and your practice and all of that good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna, for having me on. It is a pleasure. I am Tanna Donalson. I have a master's in public health, and I am a PA with a background in trauma and emergency medicine. So I did that first for 14, 15 years and then started my own practice. It really started more with aesthetics, and then I brought weight loss on because my patient population ended up being mostly women, almost predominantly women, and all of them were starting to go through perimenopause, menopause, and then, the weight gain happens and the hair changes happen and hormone changes and all these things. And so that is how my practice grew. It was like the needs of the women sort of dictated what I brought on next. And so weight loss is definitely, and just peptides in general, is the most recent big addition to my practice. And it has become, as you said, such a hot topic and definitely something that women everywhere all over the world are super interested in. So it's been a really exciting time.
So when you say peptides, what is the difference between that and like the GLP-1 for weight loss? So explain that difference to me or similarities.
Yeah, there are so many peptides. We could sit here all day long and talk about just peptides. Peptides are just chains of amino acids that do different things. And some of them occur naturally just in nature. They're in plants or they're found in gastric juices in humans or in animals or something like that. And we have found that they have certain benefits and the risk profile is super low. Turns out that GLP-1s are also peptides, but they are branded because, and this gets a little hairy, but I feel like Big Pharma got involved, the FDA got involved, and now we have a monetized branded drug. And if for people that aren't watching, that's in quotes, drug. But it truly, even though it is synthetic, semaglutide is synthetic, it is still a peptide. So peptides in general have a very targeted thing that they do. But there are 5 to 6 different peptides that were developed for the treatment of diabetes. And then we sort of found out, oh gosh, we could give these things to people that are not diabetic. And there are all these health benefits. And, the rest is history.
So what are some other like peptides just in general that have benefits beyond diabetes and weight loss? Do you use any of those in your practice?
So my favorite, the one that's most commonly asked for would be BPC 157 and TB 500, or some people call that one thymosin 4. Peptides are really funny. They have like letters and numbers because we haven't gotten the government involved and spent billions of dollars on these things. There's still letters and numbers. So it gets a little confusing. But BPC 157 and TB 500 are typically for tissue repair, acute or chronic injuries, cartilage, ligament, that kind of. I used it. I herniated a disc in my back last year and injected them actually into my spine, and then also injected them as we do semaglutide and other GLP-1s. And my back's fine now. So pretty remarkable things are happening with peptides across the board. And there are so many.
Right. Right. So they have all these different functions. So,
Yeah.
talking about GLP-1, you said that you brought it into your practice because it was a demand from your patients. So, what has your experience been? Like, what are the results they're seeing? How are they tolerating it? Like, what's been going on with them?
Yeah, this has been, I said when I got out of grad school, I said I would never work with feet. I don't ever want to do weight loss. Those are
Okay.
like my two things.
Why not?
Well, because so many reasons, but I because for feet, because I just think feet in general are kind of gross. So I
Sure.
didn't want to work with feet. Funny thing is, I had an internship with a foot and ankle surgeon. I had to get really comfortable with feet. And then here I am doing weight loss. I didn't want to do it because at the time I've been out now closer to 20 years and at the time weight loss there was like phentermine and other stimulants that we could take, or you could smoke a bunch of cigarettes or do something to try to suppress your appetite, but there really weren't options that were healthy. You know, you
Hmm.
could do things to force weight loss, but it wasn't something that was actually going to improve longevity, improve overall wellness, improve what your labs look like, improve what things on the inside are doing. And so now that we have GLP-1s, it's so exciting. And it's like one of my favorite things to do, not just weight loss, but peptides in general, because it's healthy.
Hmm.
Because we're doing something, yes, you lose weight, but that's sort of like that's the low hanging fruit. That's the cherry on top. That's wonderful. But metabolically, you're becoming so much healthier from the inside out and potentially, hopefully, live a longer, healthier, better life as a result. And so, how could you not be excited about having that to offer people?
Sure. So, what are some of those like healthier things that you're seeing in terms of their metabolic health?
Yeah, so these things are not completely innocuous. I don't like to call them drugs. I think of them more like vitamins. They're peptides, but whatever, for the sake of being politically correct, when you're on these drugs, you have to check labs beforehand and make sure that people are good candidates. So I'm always looking for reasons why someone can't take it. There are not that many, but I am looking for those reasons. And then I'm also checking, what does their cholesterol look like? What is their liver function? What is their kidney function? What is their hemoglobin A1C? And the most rewarding part for me is not that, these women come in smiling because their gene size went down. It's that I will repeat labs 6 months later or however long when they get closer to their goal. And we can side by side compare. It's not just what you look like on the outside, but look what happened to your organs. Look what happened to your A1C. Look how much farther away you are from even flirting with prediabetes. It's
Hmm.
just, or look at your improved thyroid function. Look at your kidney function. Look at your liver. Look at all of it. It's amazing. Cholesterol. And we yet in medicine, as far as I know, we have not come up with something that across the board addresses so many parts of metabolic health like
Hmm.
GLP-1s.
Right. Right. And so, if somebody was to come in and let's say they wanted to lose some weight, but they had all these other metabolic things too, as usually go hand in hand, like how would you start with them after the lab? So would you do you like dose it slowly? Do you keep going up in the dose? Like how's that protocol work? Obviously it's
Yeah.
individual to some extent.
So in my head, this is sort of a two-part question.
Hmm.
So I'm going to back up a little, and then I promise to get to the answer
Sure.
to your question. My approach to every patient is depending on their budget. I love to look under the hood farther than just getting some blood labs. There's so much information that we can gather. I love it when people have like little aura rings or watches or something that gives me some data of what's going on with them, because part of metabolic health is how are you sleeping and how are you able to recover. So I like that data. I like to do nutritional testing if they'll allow it. These things are not cheap. Of course, our insurance companies don't pay for this stuff, but it's like my jam. I love it so much. So if I can get nutritional information, see what they're deficient in when they're off of everything, see how well their body absorbs all of these different things. And I have that, plus I have these working diagnoses of this person is pre-diabetic with PCOS and chronic migraines and irregular, terrible periods. I can put all this together and develop a smarter targeted approach to that person. So this is where I get annoyed, to be frank, with like online companies,
Hmm.
because there's very little, if any, oversight. There's no hand holding. Who are you going to call when you have questions? My assistant and I are grossly available. We have boundary issues. You can text us anytime. And I feel like that's absolutely mandatory because this is not a one size fits all thing. Yeah, it works incredibly well. I can pull weight off of just about anyone, but that doesn't mean it's healthy. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean that, there aren't many different ways to skin this cat. So I like to gather as much information as I can. Typically, like the normal thing to do would be, if we're talking about semaglutide, is start at the very lowest dose. The lower the better. This is a very American issue to think that more is better.
Hmm.
Just, sometimes at the very lowest dose, maybe half of my patients have great benefits from that. They're still hungry enough to actually eat. They're not nauseous. They're not fatigued. They're not struggling with like protein deficiencies and other nutritional deficiencies because they're just flat out not getting enough intake, and they're losing weight. Yeah, we're not losing 5 pounds a month, but we're losing a couple.
Hmm.
Maybe a pound and a half a week or something like that, which is fantastic. Like slow and steady wins the race. So that is my approach always. The lower, the better. And I only increase people when truly we're not getting anything out of this. You're doing everything right. You're still exercising, still lifting weights, still eating enough, not nauseous. We're still not losing weight. Fine. We can go up a little bit.
Hmm.
But I'm not, like I said before, this is just not a one size fits all thing where every month we're just going to go up and up and up until we
Right.
pull all this weight off of you super fast. And then you look gaunt and empty and to come in for all the other issues that you have.
When I first started GLP-1, because I'm a user of GLP-1 too, is I went through an online doctor and I never saw the person.
Of course.
And they just kept upping the dose. And I was like, but I lost 5 pounds this month. And she, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, because I didn't talk to him.
Yeah.
Was like, oh no, we can go up. We can go up. We can go up. And I started to feel so terrible because I couldn't eat anything. And I was
Yeah.
just miserable. That's not a life I want to live. So
No.
I agree with that approach of like, if you're seeing results, even if it's like 2 pounds a month, you're still going in the right direction.
Yes, and that kind of weight loss is weight loss that will likely, assuming you're going to change lifestyle choices a little bit, that's likely going to stick. When you rapidly pull weight off of people, their hair is going to start falling out. We're for sure going to have, as you know, some kind of nutritional deficiency in there. There's
Mhm.
just, when people are not hungry, they're force feeding themselves like a tiny little, handful of carrots. It's just not enough. I can't tell you how many people have called me and they're like, I haven't been hungry in days. I finally feel a little bit hungry, so I ate some carrot sticks. And I'm like, yeah, not gonna work. Can you just like grab a piece of chicken?
Right. That's why I started this podcast in this whole GLP-1 hub, is because I just saw people around me and like not eating at all and thinking that they were doing the right thing. And I was like, this is not correct. So,
Exactly. But that's the hard, would be like the only, I'm gonna say something positive about Big Pharma and the FDA real quick. So everyone just like mark this up as a miracle. It's happening. I like it when they're involved because things are regulated.
mhm.
And right now we have one influencer after another telling you what to do and all kinds of unlicensed people. All you got to do is hop on Instagram, hit the live button and start talking. And somebody out there is going to follow your bad advice, And people don't do their homework of like, who is this person and what are their
Mhm.
credentials and what is their success and can I even access this person? And, so it's very important for people to realize that there's a lot of bad actors out there. Thankfully, with everything drama going on with regulation right now with these GLP-1s, I think one of the best things that's going to come out of it is a lot of the bad actors are not going to have a stage anymore.
Yeah, because I've been doing a lot of research as I'm growing my platform, and I'm just shocked at the number of followers and the person giving the information who's just like a person who lost 100 pounds on GLP-1. And they're like, on week 32, this is what you should expect. And I'm like, how do you know that? Like, you're
For
not a
who?
medical provider. Like,
Well, and it is not one size fits all. It doesn't matter if it's two women that each have 100 pounds to lose. They are two completely different women with
Mhm.
different problems,
Yes.
different tendencies.
So once the person reaches their goal weight, what do you do with them then? Because there's been a lot of questions about like, do I get off? Do I not? How do I stay here?
Yes, good question. So again, everyone's a little bit different. My preference is to taper, depending if they're on a really low dose, we don't necessarily have to taper off. If we're on a medium dose, I don't have a lot of people on the highest dose, but if we're there, I will taper them down because that abrupt stop is not pleasant for a lot of people. And
Mhm.
so I'll start and then I love to microdose. I love to microdose people. I don't think this is like, when you're diabetic and you're starting to take a GLP-1 GLP-1, yes, it's like a life sentence. You're going to be on this for the rest of your life to treat your diabetes. But for people that are doing it for weight loss, I want them off of it. I don't want people on this forever. People ask me that all the time. I want to get them off of it, but I want to get them off of it safely and in a way where the weight loss that they achieved sticks and we're not going to just gain a whole bunch of weight back. So during that time, there's a lot of handholding and coaching about how are we eating? How are we lifting? What are the lifestyle changes that you've implemented? And are you committed to sticking with that? And I can't, just like we can educate, you can lead a horse to water, but it's up to them to stick with those things. But if things are going really well, the weight's off, they've made these changes, then I will taper them down and then we'll discuss what microdosing looks like, which again, is different for everyone. We could do, tiny little bits of units a couple times a week, and then we could spread that out to every 10 days. Again, it's not regulated, so there's no Bible on this is how you microdose, but there are lots of different. I like Dr. Tina. I'm sure you've heard of that. I like how she does things. So lots of different ways to do it. I myself microdosed a couple years ago for a few months, and really I liked it for the mental clarity and the energy that I got out of it. I was not looking to lose weight at that time. So I have a patient with OCD that microdoses for mental health benefits of it. So microdosing is a whole other topic, but that's kind of my plan for how I get people off of it once they've achieved their goal.
And then you find whatever the right balance is for the individual.
Yeah. And it may be that they stop it and, Christmas rolls around and mom made a bunch of good stuff and they put on 5 pounds and they don't like it. And so I don't love the idea of using it like an easy button, like holidays roll around, I'm going to grab another vial. It works. I get it. I understand it. It's tempting. I want to do it too. But I don't want it to replace discipline, good choices, hard work. That's what our bodies were made to do. And we can get 5 pounds off without injecting ourselves with something. But if things, especially during the perimenopause and menopausal years, which is like a whole fun circus. I don't know how old you are. I'm 43. I can already feel it.
45.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and all of my friends are close to my age and experiencing these things too. So, we think we know what's going on, but like every day is a new day. And so if weight starts to creep back on and we want to be on a low dose, go back on it for a month or two, fine. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Because this menopause thing is coming for us all.
It's for the birds. I think I'm really excited for everyone right after when things like actually chill out. We can
I heard that it's amazing.
I've heard that too. So we've got bioidentical hormones. We replace them. You feel good. And there's no more of this like riding the tumultuous waves of menopause anymore.
Yeah, definitely. So with all of this, you've been using the compound GLP-1 mostly in your practice, or do you do both?
I think in hundreds of patients in a handful of years, I have only had 2 get approved through insurance.
Okay. So it's been
No
tough.
compound. Oh, it's impossible. It's impossible. And I'm done. It takes way too much of my time when like it's on the formulary for their insurance, but then it requires a prior authorization. So they go to Walgreens, they try to pick it up and it's like, you need a PA. And so I fill out the prior authorization and it just gets denied every time, which is why I'm going to get mad now, which is why with what the FDA is doing, they're saying that this is all out of shortage. So the compounding pharmacies can't make it anymore. You have to get it through commercial pharmacies. Well, A, no one can afford what you're going to charge. B, you're taking thousands of patients, moving them from compound over to commercial, and we're going to have a shortage again.
Right.
So this thing everyone's panicking about is absolutely temporary. There are ways around it. It's temporary. It's dramatic. It's stupid. It's all about greed. It makes me mad. So yes, I use 99.9% compound.
Well, why don't we talk about the FDA stuff? Because those are recent changes that they decided, okay, well, first they did the tirzepatide and now it seems like the semaglutide is going out. So is it really gone forever? Are there still going to be places to get it? Like everyone's, like I told you before we got on the call, people are stockpiling it. So what do we do? What do we do?
Call me. This is my job. I will figure this out. Yes, we're going to be able to get it. Yes, we're going to be able to do it legally. Yes, it's a little bit creative. And yes, I think this is a temporary problem because like I said, people that I charge $465 a month for the semaglutide, program. And when I tried to get Ozempic through my pharmacy, it was $942 for 1 month.
Mhm.
And that is my insurance years ago. I have no idea. Everyone's is different. Some people, maybe they'll get it covered. Maybe it's 300 and it's cheaper than and that's great. Well, for that, fantastic. Do it. But I think it's going to be rare that people are going to be able to get it for cheaper than what we're able to do the compound for. While this is going on, I will say, what do I want to say here? There are ways around it. I'll give you an example. For my patients that experience nausea with GLP-1s, it is very beneficial for them to have B12 compounded with the GLP-1.
Mhm.
And there are some compounding pharmacies. I only work with like legit people that I have 2 pharmacies in town and one that's a sister in another state. But if I get mad enough, I can march my happy little butt over there and complain if I want to. So like, I know these people, I know that it's safe. I know that they come with certificates, they authorize where their peptides come from. We know the source, it's been tested, it's by a third party, all of that stuff. But if I tell them this patient in particular has debilitating nausea with plain like Ozempic or Wegovy commercially, we need the compound, then we compound it with B12. It's not the same thing. That is not what's being regulated.
That's so weird.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It is all about greed. It is 100% a greed problem.
Mhm.
Makes me
And
so mad.
so as a provider, you selected these 2 people that you know in your town who do it. So how do you, like, if you're just a person, how do you know if a compound place is legit or if the med spa down the street from you is getting it from a legit source?
I think that is maybe one of the things I feel is most important as an educator like yourself and me. The more we can have, like, we're licensed people. You can trust us. I'm doing the homework. You're doing the homework. So, but patients in general, the layperson doesn't know the questions to ask. Like back in the old days, we used to just go to the doctor and trust that whatever the doctor tells you is safe, correct. And now we've learned you don't trust anybody. You do your own homework, but at the same time, like, we have the education that we have, so we know better what questions to ask, and we cannot expect the general public to know these are the questions that you ask. So asking if there's third-party testing. Quick side note, I called a supplement shop that sells this nondescript white powder on the wall and labels it semaglutide. It was super cheap too. I called him one day and was like, can you tell me more? I just acted like a person, I didn't tell him who I was. Where do you get third party testing? And he was like, oh, his name was Jason. He was like, oh yeah, we do third party testing. I was like, where? He was like, well, we do it here. And I was like, I don't think that's a third party.
That's not a third party.
Also, like, do you do it? And if you do, what are your credentials and how are you licensed? And then I asked him how he doses people. How do you tell people? And he was like, we just do it by weight. I have a little chart and I hand it to him on this little card.
So was it oral or was it a powder that you were injecting?
It was a white powder, and then he would sell them saline that they likely buy from Amazon and then show them how to reconstitute it themselves and then give them a little card. And because it's cheaper, he's busy. It's flying off the shelf. This is why, like, I wish there was a non-FDA FDA where we could regulate all this stuff, but not be greedy about it and put it in the pockets of big pharma, like I would, yeah. Anyway, Jason shouldn't be selling semaglutide. But asking if it's third-party tested, asking for certificates, which that's a thing. And actually really good pharmacies will post certificates on their website so that you know that it's pure and an efficacious product. So they're supposed to, they get it from whatever their source is, and then they send it to a third party for this testing, for analysis. And that's very important. So patients can ask that. And if a provider doesn't know, next.
Right. And so is there a place to see complaints, or like if somebody filed a complaint against Jason? Sorry, Jason. We're not trying to kill your business here, but is there a way to see, like, who are bad players, or is it just the Wild West?
It's definitely the Wild West with peptides right now. I don't think As far as I know, I don't think there's a way to see complaints. There is a way to see if the FDA audits a 503A or B pharmacy and they get cited for something. That's public information.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the pharmacies that I work with currently got audited. Let me make this really clear. I think this is really important for people to understand, actually. So A means that, and these are, so compounding pharmacies are either none of this or they're 503A or 5B. 503A pharmacies can ship to patients. I can send them a prescription, they can make it, and they send it straight to Anna's house. And that's all the way it works. They're under pretty significant regulations. 503B cannot ship to patients. They can only ship to, they do like, backstock. They provide me, like if I was going to sell semaglutide at my office, I would buy 25 vials. It would all get shipped to me. And then I would be the one dispensing this to people. That's the difference between 503A and B. But when they have a 503 designation, what they're doing is they're subjecting themselves to FDA audits. Just because someone says they're a compounding pharmacy, it could just be like me and you in a garage making some stuff. It is not regulated. And that's dramatic, but you get the catch my drift. If you want respect from the community, then you're a 503 something. And you're saying, even though I don't have to be audited, even though I can still compound all this stuff legally and I don't have to subject myself to these audits, I'm opening the door and saying, unannounced on any given day, the FDA is welcome to march in here and make sure that my refrigerators are the right temperature, there's not dead rats in my facility, that it's actually sterile. These things have certificates and all of that. And so if someone gets audited and they get cited for something like a refrigerator wasn't cold enough or whatever, first of all, they're going to have to get rid of all the product that's affected, which is a big, big hit to them financially. And then it's public information what happened.
Sure.
So when one of the pharmacies I work with, when they first opened, they had a refrigeration issue. Of course, the FDA showed up, and it was, I remember because a couple patients were like, oh my gosh, this pharmacy got cited, and it wasn't a big deal. None of their GLP-1s were affected. It was fine, but it became a big deal because then publicly people are like, oh gosh, this pharmacy got audited and they got cited and in trouble. But I'm like, that's amazing because these people are saying they're willing to put themselves out there, get in trouble, and everyone's going to find out about it. So they darn well better be compliant across the board every single day.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
I
That's
don't
great.
think Jason's living up to those standards.
Well, hopefully Jason gets a complaint or something.
Well,
There's plenty of bad players out there.
I'll add it to my list.
So one last question for you. Where is the future? I just got an email about new GLP-1, oral GLP-1. All sorts of things coming up. So where are we headed with this? And even the compounds.
Yeah, so there are, like I said at the very beginning, there are other, like liraglutide is one. They're all hard to say, so we need different names. But all the things that end in glutide, it's not just tirzepatide and semaglutide. There are like 4 or 5 others. The oral forms. I mean, to me, the jury's still out on if it's as efficacious as the injectable. But there's so much energy around GLP-1s that there's a lot in the pipeline. There's a lot in the supplement industry too. There's a supplement called BAM, that's getting a lot of attention for becoming, it's a metabolic, turning you into a little bit of a fat burning machine with a peptide that doesn't affect your heart like hydroxycut, like phentermine, like these things that people used to take that were so dangerous. There are too many other pathways that are safe and healthy that are right at our fingertips. So regardless of what happens here with the FDA, with access, first of all, we'll find a workaround. Second of all, there are going to be other options. There already are. Yes, oral forms. Yes, other peptides. Maybe it's combined with a different peptide, but this is going to shine a light on the peptide world. There's so many other things out there. GLP-1s, that's not the only class of peptides that actually has weight loss as its number one thing that it does. There are
Interesting.
others.
Interesting. And those you think will come and be more common over the next couple of years?
Well, as the drama continues with GLP-1s, it's going to, these other things are going to gain traction because people are going to be looking for alternatives. So, that's on me to make sure that I'm understanding what's going on and what's available and what I can promote, what I think is safe and healthy, and educate the people.
Sure, definitely. So, can you, in your practice, work with people anywhere in the country, or is it just local? How does it work?
Yes, I can see patients in most states, and I
Okay.
do it virtually
Okay.
for now.
All right. Awesome. So, tell us the name of your practice and where people can find you and connect with you if they want to learn more.
Yeah. So the name of my practice is Redbud Medical Spa. It's Redbud, which is the Oklahoma State tree. It's a nod to my alma mater. That's where I'm from. So Redbud Medical Spa. I'm in Denver. And on my website, which is redbudmedicalspa.com, there is a link to book. And there right now consults are free. And so you can book a weight loss consult or a hormone consult, either one. And it's just like this. It's like an hour long, very thorough history. We talk about labs, family history, all the things, goals, all of it. And then decide what to do from there, what's best for the patient. So I do mostly texting. If people call me, I don't answer because I'm typically with somebody and it's just me and my assistant. I don't want a big staff. And so that is how we operate, but texting is best.
Thank you so, so much. This was such a great conversation because people have been asking me and I don't know what to say. And I'm just kind of like, talk to your doctor, see if you can get it covered by insurance because it is expensive, and if my insurance luckily covers it, and it's only $25 a month. So
Amazing.
I've just been not sure what to tell people, but this is so, so, so useful. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all this information.
Yeah, my pleasure. I love to do it.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to put all the information about Tanna in our show notes. And so you guys can connect with her on all the social medias and her website and all of that if you want your help. And thank you again.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the GLP-1 Hub podcast. I hope you got as much out of it as I did, and make sure you go check out Tanna and her practice, especially if you're having any trouble locating compound GLP-1 and you want a new and vetted source. And then be sure to check out all of our resources as well. We are on Instagram at GLP-1 Hub, and that's all one word. Also on Facebook at the GLP-1 Hub support and community. And be sure to check out some of our nutrition resources. I will link them in the show notes. So if you want a guide for how to eat correctly, how to plan your meals, how to manage side effects with nutrition, checklists, meal plans, all that stuff to help you get started along your journey, you are going to want to check those out as well. And if you like this podcast, please share it with a friend and leave a review. I'm trying to grow the podcast, get better and better, more awesome guests, and help you learn everything that you need to know on your GLP journey. And so thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.